Hi guys. Today's live is the importance of forgiveness, and I feel very compelled to do this talk because I am guilty of not wanting to forgive. So no one understands it better than I do. So I want to share a little bit more behind the scenes. I talk about being behind the veil so that you can understand the designs, you can make peace, you can apply radical forgiveness. So I want to tell you a little bit about the design, and I want to talk about the importance of forgiveness, especially if you understand that you are God of your reality. That means that everything is God, everything is made in your image, everything is you. So lack of forgiveness would mean lack of forgiveness of yourself, of your story, of your narrative. So let me backtrack a little bit and tell you that I am guilty of not wanting to forgive my parents because I didn't understand the design. So when I ask you guys to read Heal Your Wounds, Find Your True Self, I had an ulterior motive. And that is to help you understand why you chose your parents, why you have to forgive them, and what purpose they served in your life. Because here's the thing, it doesn't stop with your parents. You see, your wound runs on autopilot. This decides what everyone else is doing, including your parents, including yourself. Until you become conscious of your actions, you are also running on autopilot. What that means is your attraction and obsession with people will be determined by this wound. Your inability to forgive will make it so that your wound will make new faces in your reality, and the face will change, the wound will not. So by not forgiving, what you're doing is holding yourself prisoner to the one thing you came here to fix, and that's yourself. In this world, we have taken on a global responsibility because this is our universe. If you're going to be God, be God. Okay? I'm sorry. You can't pick and choose who you exclude and who you don't want to include in your kingdom. Not how it works. Not how it works, you guys. Especially when it comes to the things that happen to you, because the triggers are what you need to wake up to. The triggers are the reason you were born. This is how you serve both yourself and the universe at once. This is how you prevent things. So for example, let me explain. Had I not forgiven, had I not addressed what I was going on in here, because I was too busy saying forgiveness is toxic and it's bullshit and fuck you and all this stuff, and coming from a wounded and victim standpoint, what I was saying made sense to me then. And that's why I'm taking responsibility for it now. Because when I hear people say I can't forgive, it's toxic, I'm like, oh, there I am. Old me, before I understood the design. And so I feel compelled to stop me and explain why this is not the way. Okay? So you are dating yourself, wounds and all. You are healing yourself so that your perception and understanding of things can change, so that your attraction can change. You are working on those things. Okay? So when things like this occur and you don't forgive, your partners, the ones that you choose, will show you these very same forgiveness lessons. And they'll continue to get worse and worse and worse because we become victims to the story we disassociated from. So our parents may have done the most harm, but it was part of the equation. That doesn't make sense to the human mind, but it makes sense to God. See, you decided to come to earth to have an experience. Universal experience is going to happen. It's going to happen. You are not the first or the last victim of your story. It's going to happen. That's why we do it. So if you have a father that was horrible or a mother that was horrible and you can't let that go, this affects your square of life. This affects your abundance. This affects your abundance in every single way. It affects who you choose as a partner. It affects who you obsess over. It's like, you know, when you guys say, I can't help it, I don't know what I'm doing, why do I feel so insane? You don't understand the force, do you? The force that is guiding you. And that's why I'm trying to tell you, you forgive. It is not toxic to forgive. You are forgiving yourself, not them. Now, forgiveness does not mean that you continue to tolerate abuse. Forgiveness does not mean that you don't have boundaries. Forgiveness doesn't mean that you are not teaching people in every single way how to love you. And if that means you have to love them from a distance, do that. I have to do that with my father. I had to do that with my father. My father was forgiven, but when I have a 15-year-old girl that looks really appealing, I'm not bringing her around my father. I understand the damage. That doesn't mean that I don't forgive him. It just means that I forgive him and I absolutely understand his brokenness, but I'm not going to uphold and continue to create more damage. I'm just not. Here's the other thing. Right now, I'm only attracted to people who have had healthy parents, healthy marriages. They represent the opposite of everything I grew up with. And I would not, in the least bit, be attracted to these kinds of people. Okay? If I had not completed myself. So literally, my lack of forgiveness is causing the issues in my relationships. And this is why you forgive. Because you are the only one being held hostage. No one else. Okay? I say this with a deep sense of compassion. For years, and you guys, if you know me, know, I've always been clairaudient. I've always had spirit guides. I can always hear the other side. It was never something that I couldn't do. And I will never, ever forget, before my son died, the way my spirit guide begged me to forgive. And I had that toxic attitude. Toxic. As in, I was like, fuck you, Angel. That is some bullshit. I am not forgiving because the human side of me has not gotten over being victim to my story, has not acknowledged these things. Okay? Now, this is why this is so important to me. If you could have felt the desperation in my spirit guide, it would be, you guys ever seen the movie Diary of an Angry Black Woman? When she's thrown out of her house and she's begging her husband and grabbing his leg and begging him, please don't throw me out, and she's begging, okay? That's what my angel did for me. And I was just like, okay? Because I did that, my son died. And the forgiveness lesson got harder. And now I understand in retrospect why my angel begged me so hard to forgive. Because since it's my own spirit said, ooh, baby, by not forgiving, you're about to go down a deep, dark, black hole that will hurt you so bad you may not recover. But she couldn't, my spirit guide, tell me this because I had to choose the correct path. I had to learn the lesson. The lesson must be learned. So I can tell you all day long, just like my angel did, why it's so important. And I can beg you, like my angel did, and I can tell you that you will be tempted to be like, fuck you, Sen, you have no idea what you're talking about. And yet, I'm telling you, I do. I do. You can't get in the kingdom without absolute forgiveness because everything is God. Everything is you. Yourself is much greater than you think. Yourself is everything. Do you understand what it means when they say, I am the Alpha and the Omega? I am the beginning and the end. I am all things. So that means lack of forgiveness for your parents is lack of forgiveness for God in you. That wound remains. That continues to play. This continues to plague your life. It is what it is. You must understand you are the whole thing. You don't get to pick and choose. You really don't. La cosa entera, the whole thing, the whole universe is you. Okay? Lack of forgiveness for your parents means your boyfriends are going to reject you. Your girlfriends are going to reject you. You're going to have abandonment wounds. Keep replaying because you haven't forgiven. You haven't forgiven, so that wound needs to continue to play. And when you heal, you are not healing because when you heal, everything will be better. Because you don't heal that way. Because then you'll always be trying to improve, you'll always be trying to get to some kind of perfect state. No, you heal by loving yourself, warts and all. Here and now. And then your motivation becomes what you can achieve, but it doesn't change how happy you are right now. It's going to add to your joy, but it's certainly not going to detract from it. All right? So when people tell you this, I want to say this right now. They are leading you down an incorrect path. The blind cannot lead the blind. And if you listen to people that are saying, do not forgive, it's toxic and it's bullshit. What they are telling you to do is continue to suffer because your story is you, and by rejecting your story, being played out by other characters but that are actually you, by rejecting your story, you are rejecting yourself. What you do within, you will be on the receiving end. Do you see how you're not doing anything to anybody else but yourself? Come on now. Stay with me now. You do this because it matters. You do this because you are the one that needs to be set free. You do this because you deserve a woman or a man in your life that fucking loves you unconditionally. You do this because you would like to work in an environment where you're not betrayed by your coworkers. Where you do this because your future relationships, you don't want to be abandoned and continue to reanimate the same shit you won't forgive your parents for, you won't forgive your ex for. Everything serves you, and appreciation of these things and understanding means applying radical forgiveness. Radical forgiveness. And radical forgiveness takes a higher level perspective. Lack of forgiveness is lack of emotional intelligence, lack of maturity, lack of understanding that you are creator. You did this to yourself. And if you wish to deny it, you can live in ignorance. Or you can say, well, fuck, if I did that to myself, why? And when you understand why, you're like, oh, wow. And you get it. So now there's nothing to forgive. You simply understand why it was necessary. The truth is, Your parents are past life you existing with you now. Your grandparents, same freaking thing. If they've passed on, it doesn't matter. They are still your past life. If ever you want to understand your unconscious patterns, you have to be able to look objectively at the water you were raised in so you can understand what's going on. You see, mirrored consciousness is a very deep look inward. But lack of forgiveness makes it so the situation repeats. Okay? On a wheel. Because you're the only one in it. So then the faces change, but the circumstances don't. They do a little bit. Let me warn you. They keep getting harder. They get worse. So that's why forgiveness is important. Because the hardships, whether you get fired from a job, whether you lose a child, whether your boyfriend rejects you, whether your husband divorced you for cheating on someone else, cheating, all of these lessons, you guys, are happening to you because of lack of forgiveness of your origins, because you haven't healed it. To get off the wheel, it requires forgiveness. So that your life isn't going up and down, and you keep going, I'm a victim of my circumstances, or it's fate, or it just happens. There's no such thing as fate. You are the creator of your fate. When you get this, it changes everything. When you can smile regardless of what is going on around you, when you can be at peace, when you truly harness the power of that forgiveness and you set yourself free because you rise above the world and you suddenly see, oh my God, I am everything. Holy And you have that moment. Everybody must have that moment, but it will not occur without your forgiveness. You must set yourself free. And the reason the Christ message is so important is I want you to picture this man being crucified, nails in his body. And what does he say? Father, consciousness, brain, please forgive them. They know not what they do. So he understood this was his worst nightmare because of the things that were unresolved in him. Because this myth is true of everyone. Because of the things that were unresolved in him, he was crucified to this situation. And when he took responsibility for it, he said, please forgive them because they're running on autopilot. They don't know what they are doing. Just like you. Just like you. Everything runs on autopilot. When you understand cause and effect, you can do something about it. But if all of you are in a situation where you're wondering, why is this happening to me? What is going on? I guarantee you it's because you haven't forgiven something. Because you haven't let something go. Because you forgot that you created the story in order to see yourself so that you know what to fix. It works like this. The voice goes off in your head, small little voice, and it sets off an alarm, and it says, please do this, and you ignore it, and you ignore it, and you ignore it, which I've done. And then it gets louder, because since you've disassociated with what you came to fix, it must now appear outside of you where you will be victim to your story until you wake up. It runs on autopilot. It runs on autopilot. When you understand this design, you get off the karmic wheel. You stop suffering. You're not attracted to toxic people. You could never be attracted to toxic people. You're not trying to heal the little girl inside of you that went through something that needs to be adjusted because you fixed it already. So now you're not on autopilot. you understand the motivation. You understand what's going on. You understand why you're obsessed. And when you stop being obsessed, you'll see you are what you seek. I can't stress this enough, and it pains me when I hear people go, I don't have to forgive them, fuck them. I'm like, hi, old me. I remember when I felt like that. So that's to say, I have compassion for it. But I also understand the consequence of not taking myself off the forgiveness wheel. I understand it. 100% I understand it. So, if you guys are having trouble forgiving, understand a higher level sense of forgiveness will help you understand that you designed this. These things are running on autopilot. They're true of everyone. Universal experience, that which is Christ, you are one with. You're not alone in your experience, and you'll understand why you chose to embody a costume of a wounded person. You'll understand that. And when you are no longer wounded because you've understood the design, you now go about the world in a totally different way. And you can recognize your errors and try your best to correct them. And that's what I'm doing today. Now, this may take years to sink in. You may need to be humbled. But if I can help in any way, take the shortcut, forgive now. Read the book Radical Forgiveness. Download the worksheets. Start doing them. But set yourself free, because this is determining how you are treated. Legitimately, this is determining how you are treated. Nothing else. I told you guys to read Heal Your Wounds because I wanted you to understand how it's designed, so that it's easier to forgive your parents, so that it's easier to forgive this person or that person. You want to set yourself free. Otherwise, the most painful thing in the world, and this is coming from experience, is watching your kids do the same thing you did and imitate you, hook, line, and sinker, so you can see yourself in the future making the same goddamn mistake. It's painful. Painful. Because your kids just sealed their fate into trouble. And you are at fault for that. You need to own that. Because you are responsible for fixing you so that your children can live a better life. So they can take off from the point where you climbed up from, and they continue to climb. Not start where you started at because you never mastered the lesson, so it must repeat. It's painful. It's painful to be on the receiving end of your actions. So, I hope that you take the time to radically forgive yourself and all others, and that if you hear someone say forgiveness is toxic, understand they're coming from a place of human pain. They have not understood that they are victims of their story. They lack understanding. Wish them well, but don't listen. Don't listen. Please don't. Because I finally understood that I was the angel begging myself. I would not have lost my child. Now, here's the thing. And this is why I say it's up to you how bad you want to suffer. I did lose my child. It did serve me. It woke me up. So, either way, it served me. It just woke me up in the most painful of ways. So if you don't want your awakening to be that painful, do yourself a favor and radically forgive yourself and anything that requires forgiveness. And then go live your life. But work on not feeling that charge. Work on not feeling a victim. Work on not making people separate from you, because you don't get in the kingdom otherwise. Let me explain. Their experience is your experience. But as long as it's locked out outside of you and you're not identifying with being them, you don't gain the depth and breadth of their wisdom and all of their things that you would have gained through their lifetime, because you're not forgiving. You're locking them out. So now this body of knowledge isn't added to your experience. All right? Now you have a child, as an example. You have a child. Since this is not forgiving, your child must begin where you did not master. And this is how the cycle keeps repeating. This is how family generational curses are formed. When you understand their purpose and you become creator, it's life on another level. But if you lock yourself out, I guarantee you, you will be thrown for several loops, because you haven't let it go, because you have forgotten that you created it. You need to step up your evolutionary game, step up your mental, and understand the purpose of it. It's you. And if you're looking for a healthy union with your partner, if you're looking for a healthy union with anyone, if you're looking not to be rejected, abandoned, cheated on, taken for granted, repeat the same things your parents did, if you want to learn from that, it requires forgiveness for what has happened in your life up until now. All right? Hope that helps. Love you guys. Enjoy your Sunday. And let me see what some of your comments. I read it, Cindy. Now I need to radically love myself. Yes, Delissa, absolutely. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Queen. All right, you guys. I get up here and I tell you where I made my mistakes so that you won't make them. I can't stop you from making these mistakes, but if it helps you any, if you can understand, hey, I'm warning you what happened on the other side, this consequence sucked, then you'll understand why I do this, why I'm so transparent, and why I'm naked in front of you guys talking about, here's where I messed up. You know, I do it because, hey, I can't prevent you from getting in painful situations, okay? I can't make you stop this, but I can at least help you understand them so that you can stop doing the things that get you in this place in the first place. Hope that helps. I love you guys so much. Talk soon.